Hello, Phantom fans. My name is Sam Olmstead. His name is Justin Irwin. This is the Dump and Chase podcast. This week's show is brought to you by our incredible sponsors at Advanced Podiatry. For information on treatment options and services provided, office locations, and appointment information, head over to advancedpodiatry.com. So thank you everyone for tuning in this week, whether you are listening on Western Reserve Radio, YouTube, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. So, Justin, the Phantoms split the weekend with Chicago, but all in all, we walked away from these games feeling pretty good. But before that, happy birthday, buddy. You look really good for turning 60.
Yeah, thank you. I guess it's the Keith Richards Stay Young Forever program here. Anyway, my birthday was on Sunday, so I got a little bit of a present there, I guess. But other than that, just another year.
So you didn't turn 60?
Plus minus a few.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, you either look great for 60 or really bad for 20. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Somewhere in between there. So in this episode, we'll recap the two games with the Steel, name our 3 stars of the week, look ahead to a 3-game weekend in Chicago and Plymouth, and you'll get to hear my interview with Phantoms Vice President Megan Ellashek about next season's season ticket packages. But first, since we now have the capability to do so, we have a surprise guest calling in. He's a friend of the show, the voice of the Phantoms, and a proud new papa for the second time, Mr. Matt Lipsack. Matt, welcome back to the show, and congratulations on the baby girl.
Hello, gentlemen, and again, I use that term loosely, and thank you very much. She's actually laying on my chest right now. Just finished giving her the 11 o'clock bottle while my wife tries to get some sleep, and he's trying to get a burp out right now.
Oh. You were the baby?
Possibly both, to be determined.
So that worked out pretty well for you. Baby's born, and then you get to see Chicago get shut out. I would ask you which one you were more excited about, but
the daughter is going to take first place there, but just because she's so darn cute. Although the effort that Jacob Fowler put in the crease on Sunday afternoon definitely close.
So everything's been all mom and baby are doing good.
Everybody is doing well. Just took them about 2 hours to process our discharge paperwork earlier this afternoon, but we are at home. Baby girl got to meet her big brother earlier this evening, and everybody is doing well.
Any easier this time around, or totally different?
Totally different. With my son, who is now he's going to be 5 at the end of April. He was actually a month early, so when we went into surprise labor at the end of April, right in 2017, actually the week after the Steel eliminated the Phantoms from the Clark Cup playoffs, we were not prepared for much of anything. Really, actually, my wife and I were still about 3 weeks away from closing on our house.
Oh, jeez.
It was a very chaotic time. But now, my wife and I just bought a new house in North Canton, Ohio in February 2020. And we, we're able to get everything planned. And actually we had a C-section scheduled for Tuesday, the 22nd, but baby girl decided she was going to come 4 days early.
Yeah, I texted you that day, and you said as far as you thought she was going to make it to Tuesday, and then
it turned out that my wife went into labor at 3:30 that afternoon, and 20 seconds to midnight on the 18th, little Alexis Rose decided to join us.
If you would have waited another like 24 hours, she would have been born on Justin's birthday. So
I'm going to let Justin have that all himself.
Oh, there you go. I'm trying to get over that 2-hour discharge time. When my youngest son Dash was born, we were told at 8:30 in the morning, everybody could start getting dressed and ready to go. They were just finishing up the paperwork. We didn't leave until 5 in the evening.
Ouch.
So you must have been in the express lane for your discharge paperwork. I'm kind of jealous there.
I mean, they told us that about if the pediatrician came by at right about 11 and said, "Yeah, I'm going to put the discharge paperwork in right now. Give me 5 or 10 minutes." But then the nurse would show up to take us out the door until right about 1 o'clock.
All righty, Matt.
Wow.
Well, thank you for calling in. We'll let you get back to what you're doing. But again, congratulations to you and Amanda and John.
Thank you very much, Sam and Justin. And again, glad to be a part of the show. Enjoy the product that you guys put out, and looking forward to hearing the episode tomorrow on Western Reserve Radio. Well, not tomorrow, but Wednesday on Western Reserve Radio.
Yep. All righty, Matt. Well, thank you. As always, we always appreciate everything you've done for us, especially over the last 6 months or so. But thanks for calling in, taking a couple minutes.
And congratulations.
No problem, guys. Thank you, Justin.
All right.
Thanks, Sam. Have a great day, guys.
All right. Bye, Matt. All right. And that was Voice of the Phantoms, Matt Lipsack. So as far as the rest of this episode, we'll recap the 2 games with the Steel. Oh, nope. I already went through that. I was looking at the wrong spot in my notes. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, you'll hear my conversation with Megan Ellashek, and we'll recap this past weekend with the Chicago Steel. You're listening to the Dump and Chase podcast right here on Western Reserve Radio.
Miss an episode of By All Means, and you could miss a lot.
I have the sound up, and I appreciate the guys that do the work now. But it is with great appreciation I see what the guys do, not only the announcers, but also the players. So we've had wonderful playoffs. I mean, single, double, triple overtime games. It's been fantastic.
By All Means, Tuesdays at 5, right here on Western Reserve Radio and streaming live on westernreserveradio.com.
And we're back. So earlier today, I got to speak with Phantoms Vice President Megan Ellashek. Now, this is part 1 where we talked about next season's season ticket packages. And next week, you'll get to hear part 2 where we discussed the Phantoms billet program. So without further ado, this was my conversation with Megan. Okay, and now it's time for a very special guest. She is the Phantoms Vice President, Director of Sales, and Billet Family Coordinator. That is Miss Megan Ellashek. Megan, welcome to the Dump and Chase podcast.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
And I just said right before we started recording here, we act like we don't see each other all the time. Like it's been months once the record button hits, but how's everything going?
Really good. Really good. We're in playoff contention, so the excitement's building, and we had a good weekend, so can't wait to see what happens this week.
All right, so just to start it off, how did you end up coming to the Phantoms?
Well, it was a fluke meeting with Andrew. We were just talking, throwing around some ideas, and turned into a formal meeting, and from there, it just ended up as a job offer.
I mean, every time I talk to him, I feel like it's a fluke meeting, so.
He puts you right at ease, and it's just, you don't know.
So your first year with the team, that was, of course, the season COVID cut everything short. Your second year was a shortened season due to COVID, and then postponements all over the place. Season starts in November, the first month, like 7 out of the first 10 games were postponed. I mean, and then coming into your third year now, only a couple postponements and one weekend with a broken/dark arena. I mean, this season has to be like the closest to normal for you so far.
That's what I'm being told. I'm pretty excited to see, we've never been at this stage before. Well, in a long time, I should say. So very excited to see what the team does. And this is my normal now.
I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, maybe next season when the schedule plays out exactly how it's supposed to, and when you don't have those extra things to deal with. I mean, you really don't know what a normal season is yet.
I don't, and that's been the running joke with Coach Patterson and everything about what's going to happen when I see what it's really like.
Keeps you on your toes, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, my job is constantly evolving and meeting so many new people. It's been a treasure to get to know everyone and become part of the Phantoms family.
Well, just here in the past few weeks, the announcement came out as far as the season ticket memberships for next season. And I like right off the bat, the kind of the buzz about it is that, you know, compared to gas and groceries and everything that's going on right now, the price of tickets for, season ticket packages next season actually went down.
Well, we had some rationale behind that because, let's face it, we're coming off 2 seasons where COVID was a huge factor, and we were blessed enough to have our fans stick with us, still come to games, and we need to make it affordable because everybody around here has been struggling, businesses and that. So the best way to do it is to show our appreciation by lowering the prices and making it family friendly.
Well, and I sit in the cheap seats. And the price for, one of my seats for, 30 games, whatever it ends up being, is, compare that to the price of, like, say, a front row seat at one Penguins game.
That would be, I don't think you could.
No. I mean, you'd be cutting it close there as far as the cost, but, for that one ticket for one game, for like an NHL game, for a for a USHL team, that's 30 home games.
And it's great excitement. We do a lot of themes. And you walk in and you're just excited to see these players and where they're coming from, where they're going, with them, some being drafted. It's fabulous to be part of that.
And that, and maybe people who haven't even, been to a game before, that maybe they're one of those people that it's like, well, I like going to Penguins games. I like going to Blue Jacket games. Going up to Cleveland with the Monsters and everything like that, with the Covelli Center only, seating about 5,500, it's a lot smaller environment. It's a more intimate environment. I mean, no matter where you are in the arena, you're so much closer to the game than you would be sitting in the third tier up by the roof, in Pittsburgh or Cleveland or Columbus.
We are very lucky. There is not a bad seat in the house. No. I mean, everything is phenomenal. And you get the best view possible, and we're lucky enough that our players interact with the fans after the games and everything, and you're not going to get that at a Penguins game.
No, without security involved. A
little jail time,
Yeah. I guess as somebody who's been a season ticket holder for a while now, we have the parking passes for every game, stuff like that. What are some of the perks that's going to come along with the packages for next season?
Oh, this year we started some new things. You do receive the parking pass. So if you look at that in the long run, you're saving $10 every game to park. Yeah. You're also getting something new for next year is early admittance to the game. So you can come in 15 minutes before everyone else, being a season ticket holder, which is really nice in the winter.
Yeah.
We have right now, if you decide to get your season tickets, you have 8 months. You can do a payment plan. And that way it makes it even more reasonable for you. We also have your priority when we do signings with the players and things like that. Our season ticket holders will get to go to the front of the line. You also receive a discount in the team shop. Of course, you have to support your Phantoms gear, Yeah. Show the team what it's all about. And then we have a flexible ticket exchange. What that is if you tell me, hey, listen, I can't come to Saturday's game, I write down the date, you come to another game and you say, hey, I'm going to bring my friend to this one. No problem. We use that ticket so you don't lose it.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't like having stuff that you don't lose?
So as I mentioned at the beginning, as far as the pricing, can you go into that a little bit as far as the different, the different tiers as far as your seating areas and whatnot?
Absolutely. So our purple section, which is 220, 221, and 222, directly behind the goal, those are $275 a ticket. Then what we call our attacking zone, it's right on the sides. That's 201, 202, 203, or 217, 18, and 19. That's $330 a ticket. Center ice, where all the action happens, is $420 a ticket. And then if you would like to be right up front on the glass, we can offer you tickets for $4.80 a ticket.
Of course, with the past couple seasons, of course, with COVID and everything else, we haven't seen so much as like we did have the season ticket pickup party before the beginning of this season. But, stuff like the holiday parties, a lot of the like skate with the team after the game, although we did have that recently. Are we hoping that kind of stuff will be back next year? Or?
We're hoping. I think we're just a little apprehensive just to be on the safe side, but we are getting the players. It might not be the full team, but we're getting 4 at a time to sign. And this year, we have pictures that they'll sign for you. So we are trying to get them out in the community and interacting with everyone a little bit more.
Yeah, I've missed out on all of those. I'm always in the back with all you guys. I've missed out on all of those this year.
It's pretty exciting. And I mean, especially when we have the jersey giveaways, the kids love to have those signed by the players. We've also been lucky enough, we're getting ready to do our second $5 game on Sunday the 3rd, April 3rd. All tickets except for glass are $5. So if you've never been to a Phantoms game, that's a fabulous time to come out, try it, see if your family likes it. And if you want to come back, I'm sure you'll have a fabulous time.
And then I believe next weekend, Muskegon, that is the Steelhound jerseys.
It is. It's going to be phenomenal. We're really, really excited. They're very close to the originals. And of course, Coach Patterson was a Steelhound, so that makes it even more exciting. Chris Richards is going to drop the puck for us. And we're hoping to get some other Steelhounds in. And hopefully, rumor has it, we might have some Steelhounds merchandise in the team shop.
A lot of people know that Brad's been around for a long time. They don't realize he played for the Steelhounds before, the Phantoms were at the Cavelli Center. Basically, he was standing in a field, and they built the Cavelli Center around him. It seems like the way it's worked out. And there you are. And like I said, next week will be part 2 of this interview about the Phantoms Billets and the benefits of becoming a part of the Phantoms Billet program. So moving on to this past weekend, the Phantoms traveled to Chicago for 2 games with the Steel, taking a loss on Saturday and picking up a huge win on Sunday. Now, as far as the Saturday recap, I'm sure you or anybody else just doesn't want to hear me rattle off a bunch of, pretty much 3/4 of the Chicago Steel roster.
It was kind of a little bit different from what we've seen from the Steel in the past in terms of scoring. A little bit more diverse.
I kind of feel like when it's all said and done, we ended on such a high note on Sunday that we're just kind of pretending that Saturday didn't happen so much.
I'm fine with that. We've had these weekends before the season where, we come off with a split and you don't really care how you get there.
All right, so we'll plow through the Saturday game here. This game was a 7-2 loss for the Phantoms. In the first period, Chicago picked up goals by Sam Lipkin and Christopher Delaney, giving Chicago a 2-0 lead. At the 14:01 mark, Kyle Bettens picked up his 13th of the season. That goal was unassisted, cutting Chicago's lead in half 2-1. And that's how we would go to the second period. In the second period, Chicago getting goals by Adam Fantilli, Jack Harvey, and Christopher Delaney again, giving Chicago a 5-1 lead, and that's how we go to the third. At 8:04, the third period, on the power play, Shane LaChance picks up his 10th of the season. I believe that's his last 4 goals now have been power play goals.
Yeah, he's starting to be a pretty big factor in front of the net, around the net. Literally
and figuratively.
Yes.
Shane LaChance is a big boy.
Yeah. And with his reach, he can cover a pretty wide area of the front of the net.
But LaChance picks up his 10th of the season from Garrett Wright and TJ Schweighardt. That cut Chicago's lead to 5-2, but that was as close as it would get. Chicago picked up 2 more goals by Sam Plant and Adam Fantilli, his second of the game, giving you the final score of 7-2. Shots in the game, Chicago 33, Youngstown 27. Youngstown was 1 for 2 on the power play. Chicago was 1 for 5. Kyle Chavette stopped 26 of 33 shots in the loss, so his record drops to 13-9, 4-2 with a 3.30 goals against average and a .894 save percentage. So we move on to the game on Sunday. This was a 1-0 win for the Phantoms. Very opposite game than what we saw on Saturday. And the scoring recap on this is pretty simple. Only one goal in the first period at the 13:31 mark. Tiernan Shouty on the power play, his 9th of the season, from Charlie Lurie and Trey Taylor. That gave Youngstown a 1-0 lead, and that's all they would need. No scoring in the second, no scoring in the third. So shots in this game, Chicago 29, Youngstown 19. Youngstown was 1 for 3 on the power play. Chicago was 0 for 5. Jacob Fowler getting the start in this game stopped all 29 shots in the win. So his record improves to 7-2-0-1 with a 1.69 goals against average, a .942 save percentage, and picking up his second shutout in, I want to say, about 8 to 10 days.
Yeah, as many weeks. The previous one, no. The previous one I think was on a Saturday.
Green Bay.
Yeah. So you're right. 8 days.
So with that, we're going to take another break. When we come back, we'll break down these games in this week's edition of 4 Points. You're listening right here on Western Reserve Radio.
Advanced Podiatry has been making happy feet in the Mahoning Valley for 35 years. Our offices are located in Cortland, Champion, Austintown, Columbiana, and Howland. Our Howland office has relocated to 8601 East Market Street in Howland Corners. Advanced Podiatry offers sports medicine and treatment plans for all ages. You can also request an appointment online by visiting our website at advancedpodiatry.com. Advanced Podiatry, where surgery is always a last resort.
Welcome back to the Dump and Chase podcast, brought to you by Advanced Podiatry. So for listeners new and old, 4 Points is where we break down the previous weekend into 4 categories: what we liked, what we didn't like, favorite moment, and the 3 stars of the week. So in the best interest of Justin's mental health, I'll kick this off. Nothing for that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, had a senior moment there.
I'm sorry. What I meant to say was, since Justin nodded off, I'm going to be going first.
Yeah.
Little power nap there. So as far as what I liked, early in the game on Sunday, the Phantoms got into penalty trouble early, giving Chicago, the number 1 power play in the Eastern Conference, a 5-on-3 power play that luckily enough the Phantoms were able to kill off. And honestly, if Chicago would have scored there, it would have been an entirely different game. You know, the Phantoms penalty kill being able to kill off that 5-on-3, and then the power play taking advantage of a 5-on-3 later in the period with the Tiernan Shouty goal. Yeah, again, you know, that like I said, that was very early on in the game, and it was extremely crucial when it was all said and done as far as how the game ended up going.
Yeah, definitely. That was a turning point early in the game. And then from there, what I liked was the defense. Just really buckled down. The Steel still slightly outshot us, but it was nothing like the night before. You know, that's kind of, you know, we've been talking about the commitment to defense and how we like how that stacks up against any team in the Eastern Conference. And that was proof right there.
Yeah, so as far as what I didn't like, and we could have flipped a coin, either one of us could have very easily picked this. Just giving the Steel way too many power play chances in the first 2 periods on Sunday. Of course, like we talked about, the 5-on-3. Yeah, overall, Chicago ended up going 0 for 5 in that game. The penalty kill really had to work overtime. When you have Jackson Blake on the ice, anybody with the last name Fantilli, it's a very dangerous situation to be in, as many teams, including us, has found out this season. You just have to be aware of who is, sitting on that other bench, and try, especially, we still have 3 more games to go with Chicago, to limit those power play chances, because any one of those guys can score from anywhere on the ice.
Sorry, I was too busy biting my tongue there. Anybody named Fantilli, I don't have that high of a regard on Luca Fantilli as a defenseman, but you can edit that out.
Could have just called him by his nickname and then nobody would know who you were talking about. Kind of like how we feel when we're watching the games.
Yeah, exactly. What I didn't like this weekend, since I got my picks in late and you got to go first. Anyway, I'll pick the other obvious one. The Saturday game, we let Chicago completely dictate the pace. We played their game, not ours, and the result was pretty bad.
Well, that's that you have that phrasing, you're either playing on your toes or you're playing on your heels. Yeah, and we see these split weekends where one game it's one game it's the other. On Saturday, they were playing on their heels. On Sunday, they were playing on their toes.
Yeah. I mean, Chicago got a couple of early goals, and yeah, we just let them dictate from there.
All right, so my favorite moment of the weekend, that would be the last 3 seconds of the game on Sunday. You've seen the face-off goals. You know, the Phantoms have been snake bit by just these last second goals at the end of games. So, 3.3 seconds, something like that left on the clock. Face off to the right of Fowler, 3 seconds away from a shutout. A lot of anxiety in that moment, but thankfully it only lasts 3.3 seconds. Once Chicago, they kind of fumbled the face off, and then you had a Fantilli fan on the shot there at the end. The buzzer finally blew. Fowler gets his second shutout. Big sigh of relief at the end of the game, and really great feeling afterwards. So I'm taking that for my favorite moment.
Yeah, and I'm going to just kind of riff off that. That was my birthday. A 1-0 shutout over Chicago. I'll take that as a birthday present. That's my favorite moment.
Well, you told me that. I canceled the 6-foot hollow cake. I was en route to your house at that point. I went ahead and canceled it since apparently it wouldn't have topped the shutout. All right, so moving on to the 3 stars of the week. And for the third star, doing something we haven't done so far with this, we couldn't really single one out. So the third star of the week overall goes to the Phantoms penalty kill. Coming into this weekend, in the 3 games they had played so far, Chicago was 5 for 9 on the power play against Youngstown. This past weekend, they were only 1 for 10. And just flat out, especially on Sunday, the penalty kill had to do the Lord's work.
Yeah.
To preserve that, shutout. So like I said, and I can't single one single penalty killer out. So I'm just giving it to all of them.
Yeah. I can't argue that. We were both pretty frustrated, I think, with the penalties on Sunday, but we killed them all. So, that was a team effort. Second star of the week, Tiernan Shouty. Game-winning goal on Sunday on the 5-on-3. Yeah, I just played great all weekend, really. Face-offs, great energy. Chicago just did not have an answer there.
No, they struggled defending him all weekend. I mean, that was, the only time he showed up on the score sheet as far as that regard, but just a lot of other aspects of the game, they were really struggling to keep up with him.
Yeah, it kind of shows what they saw in him when they made that trade. So definitely something we like.
But I will throw in as an extra. I think you could also say the same thing about Jaden Grant this past weekend.
Yeah, definitely.
Jaden was giving Chicago fits.
Yeah. I think they got away with a little bit, I think, in that regard.
Yeah. And it's really made our job easy the last few weeks coming up with these. But the first star of the week, absolute no-brainer. Jacob Fowler getting his second shutout of the season, 29 saves on Sunday. And like I tweeted out after the game, yes, Chicago was shut out 5-0 by Tri-City earlier in the season. But as far as the Eastern Conference is concerned, the Phantoms are the first team to shut out Chicago in a regular season game since Dubuque did it on April 6, 2019. So 4 seasons ago.
Wow.
3 years ago, 4 seasons ago.
Yeah, that is an incredible stat right there.
I know Tri-City did it, but with some of their roster choices, I refuse to acknowledge Tri-City until certain people are no longer on their roster. I'll just leave it at that.
Something we're both in agreement.
So that will do it for 3 stars of the week, and that will do it for 4 points. We're going to take a little breather here. So when we come back, we'll look ahead to the weekend ahead in Chicago and Plymouth. Stick around right here on Western Reserve Radio. Hello, Phantom fans. This is the Dump and Chase podcast.
We're trying to model ourselves after what you guys have done a little bit.
Voice of the Phantoms and friend of the show, Mr. Matt Lipsack.
I am along for the ride and perhaps provide some modicum of adult supervision here, although really that's a lost cause at this point.
We welcome back Phantoms president Andrew Goldman. That went smoother. It went smoother than it did with Matt.
I want that added. I want that added.
What are you shaking your head now for?
I'm agreeing with you because he has absolutely killed us this year.
Yeah, that's not helping. I'm trying to process. Okay.
Well, so far, finger guns has meant Sam shut up, so got to come up with a different sign for that.
Listen, that was frightening.
And we're back. So this weekend, the Phantoms will be on the road for 3 games. The first of which will be on Thursday, the 24th. Again, they will be back up in Chicago. This game is a rescheduled game from January 14th. So this will in fact be the last regular season game the Phantoms play in Chicago. The 6th of the 8 games these teams will play this year. So after this past weekend, Phantoms lead the season series 3-2, and they are 2-1 at Fox Valley Ice Arena. So the puck drop in this game is at 8:05 local time. We'll be on Hockey TV, and I'm going to make the assumption that Western Reserve Radio will be picking up the live stream like they did this past weekend. We've already went over the numbers with everything else from last week's episode, so we're not going to repeat all that again. Yeah, it's, so far the Phantoms haven't fared all that bad up in Chicago, so one more game up there. And more importantly, this will be the last one with Mark Citron on the call.
It's like a see and say.
Yeah, it's... the mechanic says... And he calls a good game. It's just he starts in on the nicknames and you have no clue who he's talking about. I think you made the joke you may start a spreadsheet in the future.
That wasn't a joke. I was actually almost going to start a spreadsheet, but
just kind of like a little map key of who he's referring to in all of these.
Yeah, my laptop wasn't charged, so I didn't want to try it on my phone.
All right, so after that, on Friday and Saturday this weekend, the Phantoms will be traveling to Plymouth for the 3rd and 4th and final meetings with the Team USA, the under-18 squad. Probably one of the crazier things this season is the Phantoms' success against the NTDP, both the 17s and the 18s so far, so hopefully they're able to continue that. This season, Youngstown is 2-0 against the U18s. They had a 3-2 overtime win on December 18th, and more recently a 3-2 win on February 23rd. That was the school day game. So in those 2 games, Youngstown on the power play has been 3 for 10. The U18s have been 0 for 4. Last weekend, the U18s swept their weekend series with Cedar Rapids 7-4 and 6-1. So coming into this weekend, the U18s, their half of the USHL schedule, their record is 15-4-2-0, which works out to 32 points. Combine that with the 17s. Overall, Team USA is 19-21-4-1 with 43 points, which puts them last place in the Eastern Conference. But there does seem to be a little bit of a block between those bottom 3 teams as far as the last playoff spot. They're only all separated by a couple of points.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of, I think, interesting to see how that plays out going down the road. I wonder if Green Bay gave up too early. If they don't make it, I think that'll be an interesting story, but not my game, not my board.
It's interesting how it'll shake out with Team USA in the standings. The U18s only have 6 games left this season. The 17s have 11 games left. And again, of those 43 points they have combined, the 17s are responsible for 11 of them. And you're going to get into that point of the season where the 18s are going to start poaching kids, some of the better ones from the 17s to bulk up their roster going into, tournaments and whatnot after the season. So hard to say what's going to happen there. But so Youngstown coming into this weekend, 23-17, 5-4. That is good for 55 points and currently sitting in 4th in the Eastern Conference. In 21 games this season, the U18s have scored 122 goals. That's a 5.81 goals per game average, although nothing close to that when they play Youngstown. So far, they've given up 74 goals, which is a 3.52 goals against average. In 49 games this season, Youngstown has scored 152 goals. That's a 3.1 goal per game average. They've given up 154. So we get to keep Pi around. That works out to a 3.14 per game average they've given up. The U18s on the power play, 27.9%. If they were their own entity, that would be first in the Eastern Conference. Their penalty kill at 73.6%. Would be sixth in the conference, but combined with the 17s, they are in fact sixth in the conference in the penalty kill. Youngstown on the power play, 21.1%. That is sixth in the East. And interestingly enough, the penalty kill, 79.4%. Youngstown is now second in the Eastern Conference. If you go back all the way to the beginning of January, they've only given up, I want to say, 5 power play goals, maybe 6, since the beginning of January, since the calendar flipped. And yeah, their penalty kill percentage is somewhere up around 90%.
Yeah, I mean, again, this just goes back to the team is showing a commitment to not giving up, a lot of goals. But that is pretty amazing, especially as a long-term fan. That's not something we're used to.
So both of these games on Friday and Saturday will have a 7:05 start time. That is our time as well. The games will be on Hockey TV. Dirty Pete up there in the booth, he doesn't like to share the audio stream, so there won't be an audio option that Western Reserve could pick up. Very stingy with their audio streams up there. They're one of the few that don't do that.
Yeah, it's kind of, I think, a different arrangement for the broadcasting since they're not the normal team up there.
I blame Dirty Pete.
Yeah, I don't want to get into Michigan politics.
Ask Jordan Coons in Dubuque about Dirty Pete. He'll tell you all about it. So with that, we're going to take our last break. When we come back, we'll wrap up this episode and preview next week's show. You're listening to the Dump and Chase podcast right here on Western Reserve Radio. And that will do it for this episode. Be sure to tune in next week to hear part 2 of our interview with Phantom's Vice President, Megan Ellashek. We'll also recap this weekend and look ahead to a 3-game weekend at the Cavelli Center with the Muskegon Lumberjacks. And again, we want to thank the official sponsors of the Dump and Chase podcast, the fine physicians and staff at Advanced Podiatry. For information about treatments and services offered, locations, and appointment information, check out advancedpodiatry.com. So as always, the Dump and Chase podcast is brought to you by hockeyfan.com. And be sure to check out our syndication partners at ohiohockeydigest.com. You can hear this show every Wednesday at 5:06 on Western Reserve Radio, either on westernreserveradio.com, through the TuneIn or Live 365 app, the Western Reserve Facebook and Twitter pages, and the Youngstown Phantoms Facebook page. This show, both the new and the archived episodes, can be found on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite audio podcasts. Now, all of these can be found on our Linktree page, so bookmark that, so that way you'll have it, and then whenever I get to this point in the show, you can just ignore it. Yeah, you can find that link in the description of however you are listening to this show. You can find Justin on Facebook at facebook.com/YTHockeyFan and on Twitter at YTHockeyFan, both of those PHAN. And you can find me on Twitter at dump_chasepod. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in this week. Special thanks to Megan Ellashek and Matt Lipsack for calling in. Justin, once again, happy birthday. 70 has never looked so good on someone.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like I'm at least 65. So
okay. So we will talk with you all next week right here on the Dump and Chase podcast. Bye now.